Sent a Gumby to a racist smurf. I get the green and cynics pink purse. I drew it up to put him in the dirt. Boys filthy when I'm playing words. To all my hustlers, goons, that is all. Secret meetings in the stratosphere.
Shabazz Palaces are a hip-hop group from Seattle. They're led by Ishmael Butler, also known as Palacia Lazaro, who was formerly known as Butterfly of the jazz rap group Diggable Planets. And the other person in the duo was multi-instrumentalist Tendai Marere, who was the son of a well-known thumb piano player from Zimbabwe. They were formed in 2009. Tendai left in 2020, so it's now just Ishmael left. And they have released 7 studio albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album by Shabazz Palaces, and I think it's my first encounter. I have to say I like the name of the group. It's interesting and unusual. And I think that the album itself is interesting and unusual, in that it's definitely a step away from normal hip-hop. So I think I would probably describe this in a nutshell as psychedelic hip-hop, but that doesn't necessarily give the full feel of it. There's definitely a kind of cross between sci-fi and Egyptian mythology theme going on here. It's quite curious in that sense. So I have 2 questions about this album in the sense that if there's anybody out there who can answer either of these questions, please do leave a comment on the video. So the first one is, I have come across, not very long ago, I reviewed an album by MF Doom, and I found that he had been a member of an organisation called the Nuwaubian Nation, who are some kind of bizarre cult who combine ufology and Egyptology. And so it did make me wonder if there was a connection here with the Nuwaubian Nation with this album. And this is kind of underlined a little bit by the fact that Shabazz is also the surname of the lawyer of the founder of the Nuwaubian Nation, of all bizarre connections to think of. There we go. So that's my first question. My second question is, because there's not a lot of information about this on Wikipedia, and I listened to it by streaming, is it a concept album? Because it looks like it might be. It certainly seems to have common themes through it. And the way that it's structured is that there's kind of 1 or 2 or maybe sometimes 3 songs at a time in a series of what it calls suites. And so structurally, I thought maybe it would be. Anyway, let's try and do a little bit of description. It's actually quite hard because it's quite unusual. It's musically, the backing is less about having a kind of, a big thumping beat and more about having some experimental electronic sounds and kind of a sci-fi feel to it. Sometimes they use odd time signatures in here. There's one track as spends quite a time listing places, and sometimes I like a list track. There was another one that I can't remember the name of which track it was, like I'm something like something, and this is a kind of rap thing, like I'm something like something that rhymes, and I'm trying to remember all specific examples, but I think there was something about like Donald Duck, and I kind of went, what really? And I wasn't really sure about all these comparisons that it was making. Anyway, that was a little bit vague. The rapping is certainly it's rapping here. And is mostly heavily processed. A lot of it, I think, with basically a doubler on it. But it makes it hard to make out at times what's been said. Maybe it's telling some kind of sci-fi story. I think that I always feel like I'm out on a limb if I talk about anything to do with quality in terms of rap. So how would I know what's good in terms of rap? But I've listened to a few rap albums now for reviews, and my feeling is that maybe the rapping on this album isn't as strong as some of the other albums that I've heard, just in terms of how well it flows. But I think that maybe that this is offset by the fact that they've used so much processing on the rapping. That gives it a difference that kind of excuses it being maybe not quite as slick in its delivery. Overall, it's certainly unusual. It's mildly engaging. I like the fact that it is musically more interesting than quite a bit of hip-hop. Some people might find it less accessible as a result because it is somewhat experimental in the sounds. My overall opinion, yeah, it's okay. Not too bad. So if you know the answer to either of my questions, or you want to say anything else about this, or you've got an opinion you want to throw into the mix here, please do leave a comment. I love it when people comment on the videos, and we often get a nice conversation going. So please do so, and that's it from me for now.
It's big out there, so bright. The glitter be made me rich. My ring sparkles, then I speak.